Today's episode is brought to you by the letter M. To be perfectly honest, I don't really know why unboxing videos are so popular. I watch them all the time on YouTube, but I'm not really sure why. Anyway, this is the start of a project. This project has been bouncing around my head for a long time, a few years at least. I've been doing a lot of research and what type of mill and what size of mill and what expandability options I have. So this is just the beginning. And a little background about myself that I'll go into as far as why I want to get into this and why I have a desire, probably even a genetic disposition potentially. While this unit from Hazard Fraught pales in comparison to major mills of yesteryear, this is in a small way a connection that goes back over 100 years. I am the fourth generation sawyer, and now I'm a fourth generation miller. My father worked at a sawmill when he was young, as did my grandfather. That very mill was owned by a couple of his brothers, and it started out being run by steam. And in this sleepy little town, when they eventually got electricity, they slowly converted this mill to electricity when it became accessible. My great grandfather also owned a sawmill. And that sawmill was run by water, a big water wheel actually, and he produced wood shingles for houses in the area. And it was in the same area that 30 years later, his children would build their steam-powered mill, then go to electric. A further reason for this purchase and project is to provide lumber for my many projects, and also to provide some time with my father. We both enjoy outdoors, milling, lumber. He's more into cedar, I'm more into pine, but we have our species that we like to work with. So this is to provide an opportunity to work with my father, and also to provide lumber for my projects. One of my projects coming up will be to add onto my house. When we built the house, we didn't actually, when we had the plans, we didn't think that we would need a formal dining room and that the small dinette attached to the kitchen would be plenty. And boy, were we wrong. We're a small family, just the four of us. But as my children grow and they start dating and we start entertaining, we will probably need a larger room for dining. So that is on the agenda for the next 3 to 4 years. I was blessed in the purchase of this land that the house is built on, that it's 40 years ago or so, someone had the idea to plant 2 rows of pine trees all the way around the property. And a lot of those pines we had to cut out to put the house in the place. But I still have a lot of them. Actually, I have too many around the house. And the pine needles go everywhere. So to thin those out a little bit and then also reclaim that lumber and keep it on property and not have to pay someone else to mill it for me, I can cut it down, mill it, dry it myself, and then plane it once it's dried and use the lumber on site. So I did that before. The trees we took down to put the house in, I had a gentleman come out and cut all that into 1-inch material, 1x6s, 1x8s, 1x10, and I used that later once we dried it and planed it to interior side my workshop. So I will probably want to do the same thing with going forward with other small projects. Now, the main reason for this mill is this addition. And then also, my wife's really wants center match pine, stain, just like a honey stain. So center match with the V grooving. So that's going to take a lot of lumber, a lot of, basically 5/8 inch. I'll mill it down to, or plane it down to 1/2 inch, center match. So all of the interior of this room that we add on is going to be center match pine, and I have the pine standing, and I have I have a believe it or not, I have a 1985 made in West Germany Sachs Dalmar chainsaw that was given to me by my grandfather. It is 30 years old, and it will outrun most modern saws of this day. So with that little baby and now this sawmill, I should be able to produce that center match lumber for next to nothing. Fuel for the mill, fuel for the chainsaw, that kind of stuff. So that's what the future holds. And really, that's pretty much the gist of where I'm going with this project. And I'm gonna bring you along. I started making videos some time ago, and then I went into hiatus for about 4 years once our second baby was born, and I just haven't got back into it. Now it's time. So I have time now. I've got a 4-year-old is my youngest, and she's a lot easier to keep up with than a 1, 2, or even a 3-year-old. So that's where this channel is going to go. I'm going to break this channel into basically up to 4 different categories. The main being either electrical or mechanical or experimental, and then occasionally I'll have a none of the above. And as you saw in the intro of the video series, each one will have a title that will, the letter will be, is this mechanical or electrical? That will be the key to the video's content. I'll rename my channel to N5EMX. That is my amateur radio call sign. At present time, I do not have any transmission antennas up. Part of this project is I've got to remove some trees to put the big antenna up on my tower. So I want to mill those trees. Hence, go ahead and the justification to my wife for buying the sawmill. So once I get the trees removed, the big antenna goes up, and I can fire up my old radios. And I have old radios. I have old Kenwood radios that are tube amplifier final ends. So, and I can talk. I've talked to Canada once before on a really crappy antenna. So I've got some improved antennas. They're waiting in the wings, literally. Well, they're waiting in the shop attic, waiting to be put back together and hoisted 55 feet in the air, so I can be back on the air. So that's where this channel is going. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. N5EMX, signing clear.